सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
For a quarter century now, a pattern has been set in our electoral cycle where three important states go to the polls just about 6 months before the next general elections. Now you can make it 4 from 3 because Telangana has also been added since the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh. While it is tempting and fashionable to call these the semi-finals before the big final next summer, it is also erroneous. As we know, from 2003 onwards, these elections usually give utterly misleading cues about general elections. You can, however, often find in these polls bigger ideas that will dominate national politics in the years to follow. I know you will ask me, how do we say that these give misleading cues? I can only say Mr. Vajpayee did not know this, and this is the reason he thought these were the semi-finals. His party swept the three Hindi heartland states, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and encouraged by that, he advanced the final because he thought he had done so well in semi-final, he should carry the same momentum forward. And we know what happened in the summer of 2004. That is when NDA lost power. This ongoing campaign, however, has marked the return of a season of small ideas, usually as bad as the many we have seen before, some even worse. If these go on to define our politics in the general elections next year, and after that, we are in for dismal times. Broadly, the bad ideas are subsidies and giveaways on the one hand, the caste census and enhanced reservations based on that, jiski jitni abadi basis, the next. I admit that one voter's freebies can be another voter's ticket to empowerment. That bold reform and economic growth nobody is talking about because that calls for a kind of patience and calm that doesn't exist in our 24/7/365 politics. Just 15 years ago, we were hailing the rise of the aspirational voter after the previous 2 decades, politics of grievance, mostly of identity, religion, caste. The first led to the growth of the BJP's vote share and the second helped OBC parties in the Hindi heartland. We celebrated the fact that now, 2009 onwards, India's voters, especially the young, were looking at a better future and voting for it rather than mourning over the past. The politics of hope was trumping the politics of revenge, and that was something to celebrate. It is a long established trend in Indian politics that the dominant leader defines the issues of the day and the rest build their counter around these. India is a unique democracy in that it is almost always unipolar. The one dominant party forms that solitary pole and all the rest fight around it. For a good 60 years after the first election in 1952, we lived in the unipolar epoch of the Congress. All other politics was defined as being against the Congress or against the Gandhi family. At various points in that time, the socialists, the Hindi heartland, agrarian parties like Charan Singh's party and the BJP's parent, the Bharatiya Jana Sangh, they dominated the opposition, but they never succeeded in building a bigger idea to counter the Congress, the Gandhi dynasty, or an ideological second pole. Not even when they united as one party, the Janata Party in 1977. To merely be anti-Congress or anti-Gandhi family was not an ideology. That period ended with the rise of Narendra Modi, beginning 2013. That's when he rose in the BJP. Since then, since 2013, we have stepped into our second unipolar epoch, that of Modi's BJP. How he defines his politics and policies leads his challengers on to constructing their own counters. Given that he comes from a sharply defined and documented ideology, it is that much easier for his rivals to respond now. While his rivals may not have much ideological political coherence among themselves, they can speak in a common voice on one issue, their definition of secularism versus BJP's Hinduized idea. Lately, however, most of Modi's rivals have been shy of doing so. A concern over alienating the Hindu voter is evident and probably also understandable. Whether you vote for him or not, you would acknowledge that Modi sets up his own stage and is the master of the set piece. He also sets up the larger issues that define the contest. Has he done so in these elections yet? The fact is, the three things that he and his party have been talking about are giveaways, which include subsidies and market distortionary interventions, and caste and religion-based issues. The opposition, which is mostly the Congress in this 5-state phase, is also talking about these larger issues, or at least the first two of these, that is giveaways and caste. Religion is very much a BJP campaign plank and marks all its campaigns. On caste, Modi's initial reaction was to pour contempt over the Bihar government releasing the report of its caste census, and Rahul Gandhi afterwards following up, leading the clamor for proportionate representation for the backward classes based on their population. Speaking at a pre-campaign rally on Gandhi Jayanti, that is 2nd October, while launching rupees 9,000 crore plus projects at Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, "The opposition back then played with the sentiments of the poor. They are still playing that game. Back then they divided people in the name of caste, and even today they are committing the same sin." And I close quotes. That is Mr. Modi's exact line. He has gotten off that curb since. And in Telangana, he has built a sizable pitch on caste, specifically in the case of the Madigas, by far the largest section among the Dalits. That is about 16% of Telangana's electorate. It is widely believed that Malas, the other important, though much smaller group among Telangana's Dalits, get a much larger share of the benefits, jobs, reservations, etc. In effect, he is making a promise no different from that of the caste-based parties and the Congress, a share of benefits in proportion to your population. In other campaign speeches in Rajasthan, he has needled the Gujjar voters by reminding them how their leaders, the Pilot family, had been treated badly by the Congress party. To take you back to what happened after inaugurating the Bundelkhand Expressway on 16 July 2022, the Prime Minister said that efforts were being made to bring in the culture of collecting votes by distributing free reveries, that is sweets. PM Modi again warned people against the reverie culture, or what he called as the reverie culture, under which, and I quote again, under which votes are collected by promising freebies, and he also said this could be very dangerous for the development of the country. I will in fact read up the exact quote from him also. And I quote from the Prime Minister on 16 July 2022, last year. This reverie culture is very dangerous for the development of the country. That's the PM speaking. This reverie culture is very dangerous for the development of the country. Those with reverie culture will never build new expressways, new airports, defense corridors for you. Together, we have to defeat this thinking, remove reverie culture from the politics of the country. Right? See the contrast now. The fact is that since April this year, he hasn't used that expression, that reverie culture expression publicly. And his own electoral politics now has reversed so fully that his government is now selling subsidized Bharat branded atta, wheat flour that is. It was probably the setback in Karnataka that shook him and his party. As is the known pattern in our politics, the loser always searches for external factors to blame rather than look within. Otherwise, the BJP would have known they were paying for the disastrous years of governance under their own chosen hand-picked Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai by ignoring Yediyurappa. Instead of looking within or introspecting, they blamed the Congress party and its giveaways, particularly its 5 promises. How quickly this BJP responds to electoral cues is evident from how, within not a very long time, just over a few months from the Prime Minister's last public condemnation of reverie culture, his party has built its pitch in the poll-bound states mostly on that basis. A poster widely used by the BJP in its Rajasthan campaign is headlined Modi Ki Guarantee, and it lists 20 promises from rupees 2 lakh bond deposits for young women and free scooties to a bonus on the wheat minimum support price and rupees 1200 per year to poor students who buy uniforms and so on. You will see this poster on your screens. In Madhya Pradesh, his party has already been so psyched by the Congress party's doles to women that it has almost fully replicated that idea. That's a Ladli Behna scheme. In this race to the bottom, the one note of aspiration or optimism we see is the Congress party's promise to create a Madhya Pradesh franchise for the IPL. For all we know, the BJP may do well in the states and in the coming national polls as well. This, however, marks the first time it has changed its tried, tested and successful campaign track in response to the opposition. BJP usually sets the agenda for the opposition. This is shown by the evidence on caste as well as what was once derisively dismissed as Revdi culture. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his party have campaigned in these elections and uncharacteristically without any big ideas. Of course, winning each election at all costs could be a big idea as well.